Welcome back. We're looking at how Arabs are portrayed in mainstream Hollywood movies. How bad is the stereotyping? From Charleston, I'm joined by Dr. Jack Shaheen, who spent many years looking at the effect of negative stereotypes on Arabs. His new book, Guilty: Hollywood's Verdict on Arabs After 9/11, is out now. From Los Angeles, Abdullah Omeish, producer of the documentary Occupation 101 and consultant on several Hollywood films as well as the Showtime television series Sleeper Cell. Also in LA, actor and comedian Ahmed Ahmed, who recently appeared in the Adam Sandler film You Don't Mess with Zohan. Let's get back to our discussion with an email actually for Abdullah Omeish in LA, and this one came from Rick Ferrara in Melbourne in Australia, and I want to put this to you. It says, how can you expect that to change when many talented filmmakers in the Islamic world are denied the opportunity to develop their talents to their full potential to become world-class filmmakers? Without a vibrant, world-class film industry across the Islamic world, we will not see the proportionate amount of Arab or Islamic filmmakers in Hollywood. Take me through the experience you've had in trying to get support from the Arab world to try to at least create productions out of that part of the world that might help dispel some of these stereotypes, Abdullah.
Well, I agree with his email. I think, we do have, as independent filmmakers, a huge dilemma in front of us because our own people are still asleep to the fact that the best way to get your message across and humanize your picture in America and in Europe is through film. And I think in the Arab culture, it's still looked at as not an important thing to invest money in. I think it's a wake-up call for many of the people that have a lot of money in the Arab world to start putting their money into something that can make their images better, because it will serve a purpose not in the short term only, but in the long term, where people around the world can see a better image of you. That's the only way we can be humanized. Over the years, we've been so dehumanized because of all these images that come into the picture. Like when you showed the clip of the United 93, the hearing of the Quran. Now, subconsciously, to a lot of people, when they hear that, they will, associate it with a negative thing. Unfortunately, in reality, the hearing of the Quran is such a peaceful thing to billions of Muslims around the world. But yet, for just a few select of people who hear it now, I mean, a majority of people here in America will look at it as a negative thing. Right. So we have to take that initiative, but we need the support. Without the support, we can't do it. A lot of us have great ideas, great things that we can share with the world, but if we don't have the hand that helps us, it's going to be very difficult, and we do have to take the responsibility in our own hands. Well,
we showed a gruesome clip at the beginning of the show from The Kingdom, which is a controversial movie. Here's another clip I want to show you from that movie, The Kingdom.
جرب الكاميرا يلا. لقد تم القبض على العلج الامريكي وسوف يلقى جزاءه بالذبح بالسكين، وذلك لتعاونهم مع اسرائيل بغية الافساد بالارض ومحاربة المسلمين، وان شاء الله الى جهنم وبئس المصير. بسم الله والله اكبر. لقد تم القبض على العلج الامريكي.
And scenes of a Western hostage with Arab, captors. And I guess here, Jack Shaheen, this is another issue is, the Kingdom. I know it's something, again, the film that disturbs you. We showed a gruesome scene at the beginning, as I'd mentioned. Again, it comes down to the mention of, words from the Quran or a very clear reference to Muslims, but also, again, Arabs portrayed very negatively. Let me get your take on that movie.
Well, I think it's one of the most racist movies, post 9/11 movies, to be released. And I find it particularly disturbing because it's based on an actual terrorist attack in Saudi Arabia. But what Peter Berg does in this particular film, he makes it so brutal, so devastating that, scores of American civilians die. And so from the very beginning of the film, and you see the deaths of all these innocent Americans playing peacefully in having a baseball game, children, women, and so right from the very get-go, Arabs are projected as animals. And Berg, in an interview for Entertainment Weekly, a very popular magazine, was boasting that he had read my book, Real Bad Arabs, meaning that he was going to be objective. But of course, he didn't ask me to serve as a consultant so that these horrific images possibly would never have appeared. I think films such as this, Rules of Engagement, United 93, I mean, I've documented more than 1,000 films. We know what the problem is. I think what we have to do now, and we really have to do it, and men of influence, men with money, men with power, men with, particularly those in Dubai, I have a lot of respect for those who put together the Dubai Film Festival each and every year. There's got to be a serious dialogue on these issues. Unless there's a serious dialogue, innocent people are going to suffer. In Palestine, people are going to be rounded up here in the United States just because they're Muslim or Arab Americans and look suspicious. I mean, this has gone on for more than a century, and it's time to stop talking about it and to swing into action. And one final comment, Riz, and what really saddens me, when I screened Real Bad Arabs in Dubai, I expected the film would be shown at film festivals throughout the Arab world. Not one Arab country, to my knowledge, has screened this documentary except the people in Dubai. And if Arabs themselves are not being made aware of this problem or don't care about this problem, how can we expect to resolve it?
All right. Ahmed Ahmed, you made a very valid point, of course, that you have to, as an actor, as someone who's making a living and trying to sort of promote your own career as well as trying to improve the negative or repel the negative stereotyping, you're having to get a foot in the door. How have you found it for Arab women in your experience in Hollywood?
Oh, it's it's even more difficult, Riz. I mean, it's like what Dr. Jack Shaheen said. There aren't a lot of roles out there for us. And so if there's not a lot of roles that are written for us, how do we make a living? How do we expect to participate in films where not only are we being negatively stereotyped, but the roles are limited as well? It's sort of like when, African Americans were playing, maids or servants, and Latinos were playing gang members, Russians were the mobsters. It's sort of like, we're the new bad guy. But I will say this, in referencing what Dr. Jack Shaheen said about places such as Dubai, I've been traveling back and forth there for the past few months to do shows and to try to launch a sort of platform for media. And there's a lot of interest over there, and there's money over there. And if we can bridge that gap between the West and places like Dubai, there's a lot of potential and a lot of room for young Arab filmmakers, Muslim filmmakers, comedians. We had this successful tour called the Axis of Evil Comedy Tour that went all through the Middle East. We went to Jordan, Bahrain, Jordan, Qatar, Egypt, Lebanon, Dubai, Kuwait, and the whole Arab region really embraced us. And from that, a lot of potential young artists just came out of the woodworks. People want to do stand-up comedy. It's a lot more easier for a person to listen to a funny guy telling jokes about his culture, whereas you might have like a keynote speaker or like a heavy religious speaker, sharing their ideas, to the youth. People don't want to hear that kind of stuff. They don't want to hear that heaviness. People want to hear lighthearted, outcomes and positive, situations that we can, potentially tackle and find some sort of through line. I mean, it seems like we're in this stagnant state of purgatory where we can't find our voice. The voice is there, it's just a matter of application. And like Dr. Jack Shaheen said, there's plenty of money, not only in the Gulf, but right here in America. So we want to try to tap into these people who are interested in breaking down these stereotypes. You can send a check to my address. We'll be happy to produce your project.
We'll put that up on an email. But listen, we've got about a minute left, and I want to get...
Jack Shaheen.
Go ahead. I was
going to say Jack Shaheen, Abdullah, and myself will produce your project. And just tell us what you want to do.
Well, we've got about a minute left, and I want to get Abdullah Omeish to just tell me, you yourself, like Dr. Jack Shaheen, you've worked as consultants. What are you telling the studios when you're actually on these series where there is representation of Arabs? How do you consult in a positive way?
Well, there's only so much you can do. At the end of the day, the producer on top is the one that has the final say. So you can give your 2 cents, and sometimes that doesn't go through, unfortunately. And you just have to do your best. It's very difficult because you're coming to an area where people are completely ignorant and actually can't tell the difference between what dialects people are speaking in Arabic, or just the fact that if they look like one Arab, then they're all the same. They can't tell the difference. It's like saying, unfortunately, like, this guy's Chinese, but no, they're all Asian. It doesn't matter if he's Chinese. That's the same stereotype they have about Arabs.
Right.
So it's a very difficult position to be in. I think we have to empower ourselves and take charge and do it ourselves to have that final say.
Right. Well, sadly, gentlemen, we've run out of time there, so I have to say thank you very much. And this is a debate, obviously, that we can carry on, and hopefully we'll do next time with you. Thank you very much for being with us. And thank you for joining us. On the next show, we look at calls to incorporate the Muslim Sharia law into Britain's legal system. How would it work? Send us your thoughts, and don't forget to tune in to our new time, 20:30 GMT. From me and the team, see you next time.